Okay. All right. Good. We got the what do you call that? Audio is working. Um. So after my very horrific, overly overdrunkenness, which I'm still not sure if I was drunk or if it was like a mixture of like some sort of like food poisoning slash drunkenness. Uh, it's actually the same exact thing that happened to me like a month ago, where I ate like some food and then drank, and then I threw up, and then I passed out for like 2 days. And I just kind of think maybe it has as much to do with the seafood as it does with the drinking. Actually, so there was seafood, there was binlong, and I was already just kind of like having issues, stomach issues before, which is the same diagnosis I had the last time. Anyways, because I kind of think like, yeah, if you eat some seafood, it's not going down well, and you're like blocked up, then your stomach will send it up the other way. Whereas if you're not blocked up, it'll all flush out. Yep, that's a good way to start this live stream. And all conversations should start with a discussion of bowel movements. If you ask me, it should be a law. Okay, so I went out for a walk, and then I finally, ever since I prayed to the Taishan, I had this feeling like I should always be just running numbers on things. Like not really anything just anything, just literally every single thing. I should be running the numbers, and thinking in terms of, and even I will say it's, so there's this bar owner that I was hanging out with. That's why I drank way too much the other night. And and it's sort of like once I ran the numbers on his bar, um, it's not to say that he's making a lot of money or something like it's not like I was like, "Oh man, he's rich. I should," but it's just like when you realize like, no, he's putting out this much on labor, he's putting out this much on cost of goods, he's putting out this much on rent. So like even if he's not making money, even if he's not making profit, like your whatever I ask him for is a small percentage of his total outflows. So I shouldn't be so reluctant to ask him for money. Um, I should feel totally confident asking him for money. And it's not even about like the value I'm providing or that I need to know my own worth. It's like knowing that like what I'm asking him for is a very small percentage of the total money that he's dealing with on a monthly basis. Um, so, but I don't know, but that sort of triggered me. It like led me to thinking about the review bots, and then automatically I started wanting, okay, so how much? And I really do think like I could pop out 50 review bots per day. For each of them, have an automated email, um, and then and 50 is like the load limit. Maybe I could do thousands of these per day, but like to start with, and it's like choose a different type of business every day, or not like it doesn't have to be a different type of business every day. But the point is like you do all of one type of business for a while because you make the review bots automatically, but they're all for one type of business so that you don't have to be adjusting constantly. But anyway, so like if I were to make, if I could in one day make a review bot for every single breakfast place in Taiwan and have it automatically send an email to all of them, and then just say like, if you would like this review bot, it's going to cost you $5 a month. If you want it installed on your website, it's going to cost you $10 a month. if you would like it to installed on your website and to have a smart card sent to you that people can bring go right to it, it's going to be $15 a month. Boom, and that's it. And like the whole thing can be automatic. It can literally make the review bots and send the emails automatically. And then if people sign up, we get, if I get 100 customers through that method, that would be enough. Then I would have income to cover my life expenses. That's all I would need. And it's like a pretty small percentage. Like it's literally so $5 a month if you think about it. So that's like 1 hour of labor, maybe an hour and a half. No, less than 1 hour of labor compared to so whatever their weekly payroll is, whatever their month, it's so if you've got, on average, let's say you got 3 employees working a total of 120 hours a week, I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't need to do that. It's extremely small percentage of their total payroll, and I can have like an automated system. And I guess the point in this isn't even so much that I should do that, as much as I should put these numbers down in a proposal and start sending the proposal to people and try to get some feedback on whether or not they're interested in funding that. And again, if they say no, then it's like the reason they give me for saying no is going to be valuable information for me. Okay. So, um, anyways, I'm gonna get back to the plan. The plan in is coming. I'm coming back to the plan in a second. The old slash new plan, but which is not the review bots. But after I sort of thought through the plan was my epiphany of the day. But then it was like, so what else? And it's like directories, and it was sort of so directories is sort of like a new thing, a new thought I'm having, and it's sort of like make more directories. It used to be make more demos. Now it's make more directories. And, I was very resistant to this idea. First of all, when I first came up with the whole directory idea, I was still very burned out. And then when I advanced it further was when I was working with Mo and Ali. So there wasn't a lot of time to be to be coding, or to be focused on coding. But, or like my coding was very slow. Let's put it that way. Although I did advance the idea of the directory and make two different directories, the comedy directory and the restaurant directory, and figure out how to make it so that you could embed the Instagram and the Facebook and all that um, in the directory response, and figure that if I made a directory, it would actually really reduce the whole like demo marketing sales flywheel, because all I have to do is make a knowledge graph and then put that in the directory, and then make a 1 minute video of using the directory to pull it up, and then send that to the target client. And that it also, then you can say, hey, please, like, instead of you're selling something to them. So anyways, it's a better process overall than the make a big old demo, make a big old video, and then send the email to them. In theory, you can do it a lot faster. And the other thing I did was make it so that you can actually have a demo be in the response of a directory chatbot's answer. However, yeah, I didn't want to like. I was still reluctant to be like, okay, make another directory, make another directory, make another directory, the way it was with the demos, where it's like make another demo, make another demo, make another demo. Uh, and the reason was I was, either burned out or distracted the whole time. But now I'm what time is it, by the way? It's 3:40 in the morning. I sure hope that I'm not bothering anybody who's asleep. I don't think I am, because I never hear anybody really. But then sometimes I do hear, like, just when they, like, touch the wall or something. I guess this wall goes to my bathroom, so that one probably is, safe, but I'm pretty sure that wall anyways, so, yeah, 110 clients paying me $5 a month would cover my life expenses. Yeah, so, I have not fully thought through the directories thing. I meant to do that. I actually went to this City Burger, which I've been meaning to go to so much because it's like a breakfast shop, but it's open all night, and it's actually pretty sweet. It's actually better than I thought it would be, although it is more expensive than a normal breakfast shop, not by as much as I thought, and it's got Wi-Fi and milk tea, and they're open all night long. So not only can I go there, like, if I'm on a complete reverse, if I'm on the like I am right now, being up all night. But also if I like wake up at 3 in the morning, I can go there instead of waiting 2 hours for a and yep, that's about all. That's about all of that. Anyway, so oh, somebody made a noise. Maybe I am bothering somebody. Sorry, it's the middle of the day in America. I swear I can hear a washing machine going somewhere. Anyways, what was I saying? Okay, so yeah, I haven't really totally thought through the whole directories thing. Um, And I meant to do that there, and then I got caught up posting on Twitter, basically. Um, so I might take a stab at thinking it through right here, but, most likely it's not. It's just not really. Um, well, the main idea is just that, like, like, if you wanna make a good directory, if you wanna make anything good, you have to be able to iterate over it. You have to be able to try again and again and again. And for the directories, my idea has sort of been like, no, this is the thing that doesn't lend itself to like making a new one over and over again. Uh, this is the thing that you don't multiply. But now I'm realizing that's fucking stupid, and I should make as many directories as I possibly can. I should make more directories every single day because it forces you to think about what a directory even is and what you're going to need in order to handle them at scale, and how to handle the files and how to edit the files and how to sync a directory with a vector database and how to make skeleton entries and how to just to define what the directory is, because if you're just making one you can kind of keep going at it forever, but like, to be realistic you need there see, both the knowledge graph is not finite. It's not a fixed entity. You can always theoretically add more to it. And then the directory is made of knowledge graphs, and the directory itself is not a fixed entity. And theoretically always add more to it. And so you've got a undefined entity times an undefined entity. It's too much undefinedness. So I have to figure out a way to have a standard operating unit for both a knowledge graph and an index. even if they need to be staged. Like this is the minimum, and then this is the medium, and then this is the final. But it can't be completely undefined. And again, I feel like the only way to get there is to just sort of make a lot of bad ones. So I can't just try to make one directory. Um, and I feel like that was sort of the resistance I was having to working on the Taiwan directory before the Taiwan SEO directory. Was that it's like I guess because it was like the only directory that I considered to be important, and therefore I was being a perfectionist about it and how it should work. Whereas if I choose another one that I don't care about and I try something and it doesn't work, I don't care. And then I choose another one I don't care that much about. I try something, it also doesn't work. I don't care. But I keep doing that. And eventually I do one and it's like, wow, that worked way better than expected. And then you keep doing that. And then you eventually have like for each of the steps necessary to create a directory, you have a process that is better than you would have thought, and then you put them all together, and then you go back to the one you care about, the Taiwan directory, and you make it. But it's instead of being this very cumbersome process, it's a very smooth, easy process, and then you can make directories smoothly and easily, regardless of whether you care about the directory or don't. And it's the same if you're making a website. The best way to make one good website is to make 100 bad websites first. I would say, I mean, obviously, there's the whole thing about spreading yourself too thin, but I don't know. Okay, so there's more there. There's definitely more there. I haven't thought that through all the way, and maybe the only thing I need to do is just start making directories, and until I start making directories, I won't be able to think it through all the way. We'll find out. But let me walk through this plan, which is really just sort of like it finally the full plan finally dawned on me. The full plan I was already operating on, 6 months ago, basically. And it was sort of like this was I remembered the SEO flywheel, which I had already thought of a long time ago, 6 months ago. But then, you like 5 months ago, the SEO flywheel led to this process. But I hadn't really fully recovered that in my memory, and now I have basically, is the thought process here. What was I about to say? I was about to say something else about it. Um, yeah, I don't know, but anyway, so I almost figured this out. I almost figured it out. Um, like a couple weeks ago. There's a live stream I did that mentions the word desperation, and the thing is that it all stems from desperation in a weird way. So the thing, like my first thought was that I should make a chatbot for the Hualien government. Right, I should make a chatbot for the Hualien government. Especially because I met this woman at the bar that I was, talking to the owner, and then she works for the Hualien county government, and she is working specifically on a project to attract digital nomads to Hualien. Um, and there's a digital nomad visa available from the Taiwanese government. And then I sort of looked at some of Hualien government's websites and I thought, hey, why don't I make a chatbot for these? And then I realized, this is the same. And then I had like a quite a little debate with myself where it was like, okay, well, step one, because I had just been, thinking about the numbers, thinking through the numbers of things. And I was like, step one is I should go try to sell it to her. And Part of the reason for trying to sell it to her, part of my argument there is that, like, if you're not getting paid to do something, it's not actually sustainable. And you can't just constantly jump into things being like, "Oh, it'll be cool." And then, like, if it's cool, they'll see how like, I gotta prove myself or, whatever it is. That feeling, like, it's a very I don't know how to necessarily put words to it, but I get this feeling all the time. I'm like, "Oh, I gotta, like, really quickly prove to them how great I am," instead of being like, "No, no, no, no. Ask them if they're interested in it. If they're not interested in it, ask them why they're not interested in it." Uh, I even feel like if you, just jump in and make something for somebody and then they're not interested in it, they have an even harder time telling you what they're not interested in because, like, there's a sense of obligation to pay you and they don't wanna pay you, so they'd rather, like, just avoid the whole subject if at all possible, um, which sucks because the whole point of making them the demo was to get the feedback, even if they don't want it. And so knowing this, that if you make the demo before getting the buy-in from them, it actually backfires. And also just that, like, uh, even if they say no, if you try to sell it to them first, and even if they say no, you did one more rep of, like, looking through the numbers and, like, pitching them on numbers and, making sure for yourself that, like, it is the offer is structured in a profitable manner and thinking through, like, how valuable this is to them and how you can, pitch it to them in a way that is meaningful to them instead of this is a cool thing, this is the problems in your organization that it's going to solve. Like, this is the reasons why your organization will be better off with this thing. And nonetheless, for some reason, I'm just very drawn to the idea of don't do that. Don't sell it first. Don't ask for permission to make a demo. Um, just make a demo. Just make a demo and send it to them, and then they're gonna say no. They're probably not only gonna say no, but they're gonna stop responding to you, period. And why would you do that? Because 'Cause you're doomed. You're doomed if you do that. Um, and that's where this, desperation comes in. You're where it's kind of like I'm like, this is my only hope. I just have to keep making demos for people and sending them demos. It is truly my only hope. And so there's no reason to do anything else. And there's no reason to, like, go get a job or consider any other opportunities because this is my only hope. It's just throwing Hail Marys, throwing Hail Mary after Hail Mary after Hail Mary after Hail Mary. Um, but what happens when you do that is that you're getting in more reps on the demo creation side. And the other alternative is you get in more reps on the sales side and you don't get in reps on the demo creation side. Or you get in reps on the sales side and don't get in reps on the demo. It's funny because I have been saying to people all along that I can't be the salesperson and the marketer and the uh, technical guy, but the service delivery guy. But I do need all three roles. that it's only possible with all 3 roles. But I never realized that what I what I meant by that was this, was that you have to decide in your process which comes first, the sales or the service delivery. Um, and that, if you put the sales delivery first, then you're getting rep after rep after rep of sales attempts, and you're not getting service delivery reps in. Whereas if you put service delivery first, you're getting rep after rep after rep of service delivery. Uh, but which I probably shouldn't even use that term because it's not that creating a demo is not actually service delivery, but it's like creating the infrastructure for service delivery as opposed to figuring it the fuck out after you make a sale. This is a super fascinating concept. I think I'm having a hard time moving on to the next piece of my list here because it's like that is really fucking so important. And I should honestly like think through the service delivery reps versus sales reps. Which one is more important? Um, and in both cases, like there's a lot of steps. Like once you realize you're messing up on step one, you go to step two. And then once you're on step two, you realize like, oh, now you have to go to step three and step four. So the sales like eventually turns into this like you need the contracts, you need to answer these objections, you need to get past this gatekeeper, this when you run into it, you need to blah blah, like you need to do all these things. Which, by the way, is it worth it to do all those things just to get one sale? That's the final question. Especially if then you have to turn around and spend a lot of time on service delivery because you haven't automated the process. Um, I don't know. I don't 100% know. Which I think like the rest of this list is basically why I have chosen service delivery over sales in terms of which one do I get the reps in first on. Um, which okay, so anyways, so let's say so you're getting the reps in first. And what does that mean? You're getting better at creating graphs. That's the first thing. You're getting better at creating graphs. And I should reorder my list in real time here. Okay. Anyways, whatever. I'll just not try to draw lines all over that because it'll make it unreadable. But so you're getting better at creating graphs, and why is that important? For many reasons. For many reasons. Um, the graph the graph is a couple of things. The graph is to the extent that the graph is a representation or is a microcosm of the Google Knowledge Graph. So it's the first step in Google Knowledge Graph optimization, you know? Because and I think that's where we're at right now. We're not doing search engine optimization, we're doing knowledge graph optimization. That is my that's what I think. And so when I make a graph and when I get better at making graphs and I have better files for making better graphs, that my brain and my files are both better at making graphs. Um, that does a few things. First of all, a graph is something you can just straight up potentially just sell to the company. Um, that you made the graph for. That is actually like a valuable asset for them, especially if they don't have one already on their website. They could do that. Secondly, it just generally makes you more aware of like how to deal with the Google Knowledge Graph, I think. And then um, it demonstrates for me, it demonstrates to an SEO company that I know how to deal with these graphs, which they should be able to recognize as a valuable skill. So every single time I'm making a graph, I'm getting better at SEO, the new SEO. I'm demonstrating my value. Uh, SEO agencies that might want to partner with me, uh, and I'm simply generating a valuable asset that could be sold on its own. So that is and the other thing I would say is that this is the next thing I'm going to talk about basically, but the graph is the nexus between chatbots and SEO because chatbots and SEO are kind of at odds with each other in a way. Because if you are the more that your website is a chatbot, basically the less SEO optimized it is. And the more that your website is not a chatbot, the more their website is HTML, the more SEO optimized it is. Now, I don't think this has to remain the case. I fully believe that I will figure out a way to find the best of the both worlds. But for the time being, there is a trade-off. For example, my website right now is as un-SEO optimized as could possibly be because I have removed everything except for the chatbot. Um, but anyways, until I find the best of both worlds, the knowledge graph is the nexus because it is both valuable for SEO and also valuable for my chatbots. So that's the one aspect of everything I'm doing where there's zero contradiction, zero trade-off between SEO and chatbot creation. It is necessary for both. And it's sort of it's a jumping point for making the chatbots, and it's the jumping off point for improving the SEO of that business. Um, and eventually, I think I can make it so that those two things are not in conflict. But again, I haven't really thought that through yet. Anyways, so because the first step is to make a graph, and then and then we make a graph, and then we use the graph to make a chatbot. And then for each demo, I have one more repetition of getting better at making the chatbots be attractive to SEO companies. By which I mean things like making them not be neutral, making the knowledge bot not be neutral, making it act as a salesperson. Also, that the um, the blog bot, the browser bot, and what am I saying here? The post bot, browser bot, and the knowledge bot all give responses. The post bot, the knowledge bot, and the browser bot all give. Um, this is an aside, and but you know that really is so annoying if you think about like trying to make a blog bot that like makes like optimized posts about a particular topic, and then like the way that ChatGPT just forced us all to use GPT-5 because maybe some people were using a model and that model was like their way of having a unique voice. And maybe it wasn't even as good as the other as ChatGPT-5, but they liked it better because they felt that it represented their unique voice better. And also, like, there's just no way that they like, you have maybe these fine-tuned instructions, which maybe you shouldn't have even had to ever make. Like, if you were using ChatGPT 5, you never would have had to have those customized instructions being the way they were. But it just happened to work for that model. And then the time and effort you spent putting into that was just thrown away because you got replaced by ChatGPT 5, which maybe is better at following instructions. And maybe you can just put your instructions in there, but it doesn't matter because, you had everything set up the way you wanted it. And then they fucked that shit up. Anyways, so, right. So every time I make a demo, it's one more rep of making the demo be more attractive to SEO companies. And I'm just listed some examples of that, but just in general, it's just a matter of every single time. It's one more time of looking at the chatbot and thinking, how would I think about this if I was the SEO company? And for like Chinese SEO companies, maybe it's about putting it in Chinese for them. Um, and maybe it's about combining those three responses. Maybe it's about making it be faster or whatever. But anyways, so every time it's a matter of, and then it's a matter of like getting better at converting the graph into a chatbot, and having that process be more simple. That maybe there's just a file that it takes that turns, or maybe there's just an instruction I need to add that turns it from a simple graph into a sales bot. But there's a definitely a honing and making that process efficient. And then there's the no idea what I was about to say. Damn, it was something. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, it will just there's I think I was just gonna say the same thing, but phrased a different way, that, that it's making the chatbot into a sales bot, making it a sales bot. And one more example of practicing what is a sales bot, and in two ways: that it is more effective as a sales bot, and also that the process for making it into a sales bot is a very simple one. Um, it's as opposed to my previous process where there was like four different sales bots, and each bot was based on a different stage in the sales process. And then there's like a structured output, which is, evaluating which stage of the sales process are we in. And like all of that is awesome. It might have been the best approach. Maybe those sales bots would have functioned amazingly, but the complexity of creating them made it impossible for me to just pump out lots of demos, which would then result in lots of um, lots of videos and lots of sales attempts. Right. So by skipping the sales process and just making this, I get better at creating the graphs, I get better at making the graphs better. I get better at understanding the modern SEO. I get better at demonstrating my value to SEO agencies. I get better at demonstrating the value of chatbots to SEO agencies and making them attractive to SEO agencies. I get better at making chatbots into sales bots and honing the process so that it is a simple process. And I think I can come back to number 8. Okay. And ultimately, I get better at batching this whole process so that instead of doing this one at a time, I can ultimately do this for 50 companies at a time. Um, you know, which really, when you come back to the directory thing, that's kind of what the directory thing is. It's the directories is the practicing the batching process. Which should I be batching? I don't know. I might look back and say it doesn't make any sense. Again, it's just like an intuitive thing. It's just like, hey, these directories are useful for me to have. If the directories are useful for me to have, then I need to know how to make them best. In order to know how to make them best, I need to iterate over making them. And if I'm going to iterate making them, I need to make a whole bunch of different ones instead of like obsessing over one and trying to make it perfect. Okay. So that brings us to number 8, which is to make a blog bot that actually writes good SEO blog posts. Because I can just directly sell those articles potentially, or I can trade those articles for backlinks. And B, I can sell the SEOs, like the articles can be resold to the clients of SEO agencies. And C, I am, I can demonstrate this ability to SEO agencies that might want to partner with me, so that they might want to have this SEO writing bot so that they can either sell the bot to their clients or sell the articles to their clients. And I don't mean to say that I should be making blog posts on every single topic or have a blog bot that works for every topic. What I do mean to say is that if I simply write about SEO and I'm using a chatbot that I created to write blog posts, and those blog posts are actually good, um, then uh, they're going to realize that I could do the same for whatever industry their target niche is potentially. But the main problem for me in making a chatbot that writes actually good SEO blog posts, um, is being able to write actually good blog posts. That's the first thing. If I'm able to do that consistently and I have a process for doing that, then I won't have a hard time turning it into a chatbot. It might be like annoying or like kind of, but I can do it step by step. I can do it. However, if I don't know how to do that, it wouldn't necessarily. I wouldn't be a good idea to try to do both at the same time. Figure out how to write a good blog post and how to make a chatbot that writes a good blog post. It's way better to first figure out how to write the good blog post. Um, so that's why I need to write articles about SEO. Possibly, what would be easy there is more to find good articles about SEO and convert them into Chinese and see if I can do something with the Chinese article, like offer it to a Chinese SEO company. I mean, a Taiwanese SEO company, or, like a Chinese language SEO company, or just put it on my website or yeah. something along those lines, because that's like one less. It's removing one step between me and producing good SEO articles of my own, I guess. I think I'll get back to that. I will probably get back to that in a minute because I will probably go on X and look at my SEO feeds. Another idea I had, basically, this is kind of, it's still within the same list, but I think shouldn't really, it doesn't really belong. It should have been broken into two lists, but because this is was like the feed bot could actually be an SEO analysis of your blog tool. Um, it wouldn't take that much, so that instead of just giving you access to the blog, it's analyzing the blog and telling you what topics it would you would get, topical analysis for which topics, how your internal linking, like which blog posts link back to which pages, for example, things like that. And I should, in the minimal, most tiniest way possible, move, one feedback in that direction, and that way it turns into an SEO tool that SEO agencies, again, will potentially use, potentially want to buy from me, potentially just potentially want to resell to their clients, potentially just want to give. Um, uh, Potentially want to, yeah, let their clients utilize, or you'd use it on behalf of their clients. Okay, and then secondly, I could do the same thing for like the browser bot, but it's just, instead of analyzing the blog, it's analyzing the page structure. Um, this would not be that hard. And then the knowledge bot, I mean, same, is that instead of like creating a graph for them, it evaluates the graph that already exists, or it evaluates the graph that would be automatically generated from their website and evaluates that to identify gaps and determine how it could be augmented. And again, just to reiterate, it's not my plan isn't to like spend a lot of time thinking about how do I optimize the feedbot for SEO now. The question is, how do I like make the absolute minimal edit or minimal update, add another layer to it, a very minimal layer that turns it into a shitty SEO tool. It doesn't have to be great; it has to be super shitty. And once you've got that super shitty SEO tool, we can just build on it from there, step by step. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Write SEO articles. Yep, I covered that. Send the reviewbot business plan to potential partner. Yep, covered that. And make a video about all of this. I'm doing that right now. That's what this is. And then, yeah, the directories again. And directories are just they're just super open ended. And another thing is, you can't really just go to ChatGPT or Google and be like, give me a list, because for starters, like, a lot of the value of your directory is potentially finding things that Google and ChatGPT don't have, and like don't give up as results. Especially like my whole idea for the hotel directory, that was definitely at least part of the point. Uh, and secondly, it's either, yeah, it's both incomplete and overwhelming. It's both going to give you too many answers and incomplete answers. So I really just you need to figure out like what is the minimal knowledge, what is the minimal directory where it's actually useful? Because the whole idea of a directory is that it's comprehensive, but it's sort of like if it's comprehensive, then you're signing up for a huge amount of effort before it's done. And we want to make it a lot of these. We want to make them iteratable. So it's sort of like we need to make, five company directories that consist of exactly five companies. Uh, but it's like, is that useful in any way at all? Or 10 companies, something like that. So I guess that's the whole, just experiment with different sized directories and see if anything obvious comes out of that. Possibly you just need like just to break every directory down into a lot of subdirectories. Instead of the Hualien hotel directory, it's like break Hualien into 20 different neighborhoods. And then you have a directory for each of the 20 neighborhoods. And then maybe you can combine them all when they're all finished or something. Okay, anyways, what was the other thing? Okay, so this is the thing that I forgot about earlier today when I was walking around and when I was writing is that part of my whole idea about thinking about the numbers, um, the idea that Taishan uh, gifted me with, and I'm extremely grateful for that, was that the white label SEO is like a way to break down SEO into its most basic units and get a price tag on them, and then rebuild into packages and uh, subscriptions and stuff from there. Or and then if I am unable to like do that most effectively, then it's going on Fiverr and Upwork and specifically looking for Filipino Filipino freelancers. Again, getting a price list and building that price list as much as possible. And probably writing about it or whatever. I mean, obviously, I document everything, so we'll be documenting that process for sure. But yeah, I kind of forgot about that earlier today, and that's kind of the whole idea behind, as it's and for one thing, the lesson of Gas Buddy is that if you're making a directory and it's in an area where pricing is not transparent, which SEO is not transparent pricing, then that's a good thing to be making a directory of. Um, so that's something I can add. That is a piece of information I can add to my SEO directory, the one that already exists, that would make it potentially valuable. And it's one of the things that would make it so that it's like, well, why would I use this instead of using ChatGPT or instead of using Google? And it's like, well, because we have the exact same information, but we also have one extra piece of information, which is the pricing or something like I don't know if that's feasible, but potentially. Um, Yeah, and just like instead of because I was analyzing like the guy's bar today, and I was analyzing like how much does he pay for rent, how much does he pay for like estimates, how much does he pay for labor, how much does he pay for goods, and it's like I should be doing that for SEO agencies for every single reason, because it helps me to talk with them, to negotiate with them, to know where they're coming from, to make them an offer that's going to be acceptable for them, to feel comfortable asking them for money. Um, and, potentially to offer the services that they offer. Um, and I guess like to not undersell myself in certain, I mean, because it's like, I guess having never done SEO and having never charged anybody for it, if I were to get some SEO clients here in Hualien, which I think is totally possible, I would want to be like, no, I'm going to do it for free. I'm going to do it for free. And I need to prove myself. I need to prove to you that I can do it, you know? And it's like, instead of that, like, if I know exactly how much it costs on average, I mean, I can still give them a big discount because I'm unproven, but I don't have to be like, I, I'm afraid to talk to you about money because, it's like I know how much this costs in the market, even though if you go on a website, they're not going to give you any information because most SEO agency websites don't give you any clear information. They're like, well, projects can range from $5 to $5 million, but I will have the information. I'll be able to whatever. Okay, so let's move along. I'm kind of tempted to break this into a different live stream. I probably should. Oh, okay, past all of these political posts that I made today. The trending stuff is, and the news on X is actually bothering me a lot because it just seems like the trending is like, I swear it used to be like, if you would be like, look at trending, man, for start, that's annoying. It would be like trending in the last like 30 seconds. Like it was a really short timeline, like 5 minutes. Things would like trend and stop trending very quickly. And now it's over like a 3 day timeline. And so it's like you see something like Xi Jinping, you're like, did something else happen? Or is it still the same news about Xi Jinping from yesterday? And it's always the same news from yesterday. And then sometimes there is something else that happened and it's not even in the trending section. It's like you have to be on the main page to hear anything about it. Okay. I definitely did this one already, but that doesn't mean I didn't miss anything earlier on. I feel like this is definitely a thread. Yeah, even though X wasn't showing it like a thread. Huh. I don't know. I should really do like a separate live stream for each of these threads so that try to because I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm missing one, but and then if I do go through them and decide and realize that there was something I missed, it's going to be hard to figure that out if I don't have separate. But anyways, okay. So this reflections for 20. All right. So this first one is not any relevant. I literally just wanted to give a shout out to that guy because that guy's he just seems like such a nice, cool guy. Probably stupid to waste the opening tweet of the thread on that since that clearly got so many more views than the rest. Oh, the thread did. Apparently, look at this. That the two that have links are both getting way more views. Meanwhile, I'm like avoiding apparent because I heard that there's like it punishes links. Apparently, I started this thread when I was a little drunk. That's really interesting. So, I mean, I could easily include a YouTube video on every single one of these threads, every single one of these tweets. I guess I'll try that because apparently it's making the views like 5x or 6x. Or, all right, AGI. I think I was basically making a dismissive joke about this video here. I'm mentally unstable and I'm going to need a Taiwanese woman to sing Chinese karaoke songs to me or I'm going to be not okay. I didn't find a Chinese woman to sing Taiwanese woman to sing Chinese karaoke songs to me that day because the only guy singing was a guy. I ponytail. All right, I want to. I'm just going to skip over all the jokes. I was making jokes in the middle of my threads here. I was pretty like burned out when I made this. And I just am not in a joking mood right now. Not because I'm in a bad mood. I'm just like in a very like pure, like, straight up frame of mind, and that's a good thing. I enjoy being in this frame of mind right now. So just keep it there instead of feeling bad about not being in a mood. Okay, so there was to translate was just putting out there just in case at some point I decided I wanted to use it. Maybe I'll bookmark that because I might want to use it for my whole thing about making SEO videos in Chinese, or not videos, making SEO articles in Chinese. Um, wow, that's going to be really annoying on the playback. But yeah, I don't know. It might be a better way to and I'm not planning on actually like translating full articles. It's more like turning a thread like this into an article and translating it. So it's more of a mashup than just a pure theft. Anthropic faced backlash for banning users who use their API key. By the way, I would say that at this point, my main thing would be to just translate everything from Jason Barnard into Chinese. I honestly think, I should ask Jason Barnard. can I just sell his services in Taiwan? In some of the language services because their clients are in America. But basically that if he wants me to sort of create Chinese language versions of anything he's doing or like his marketing, and then monitor Chinese social media for how well it's doing or whatever, and then uh, field any incoming, um, yeah, sales, potential sales, or engage in outbound sales, then I'm happy to do that. And I guess I could do that for Taiwan and for the US, honestly. There's no real reason, but let me just, anyways, I was actually, yeah, I was like really sort of like lonely, like desperately lonely when I made this talking about "哥吃的不是面" and stuff like that, and that I need the woman to sing to me, but, which I'm super not lonely right now, specifically because nobody leave me alone. But only a couple more days of, this sort of life, and I'll be desperately hoping that wishing I had somebody to talk to, which is a hard spot to be in because I also desperately want to make my business work, and it's kind of why thinking about, um, from now on. I was tweeting about, that I should only because then if you find a smart woman, then it's like working on your business is for hanging out with her is not actually a contradiction. You could do both at the same time, but you can't really do that with a stupid woman. It's impossible. Lacoon, it must be Lacoon. As long as this language is not intelligence, he points out that a 4-year-old child has seen more visual data than any LLM has read, blah, 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 blah. Uh, I went way out on a limb and said Lacoon is wrong, which is actually the ultimate arbiter of human intelligence, and we can never understand non-human intelligence. Basically, what he's saying is that NBA players are the smartest people in the world and not Adam Sandler. Okay, so that was kind of a joke, obviously. But I don't know. I just am skeptical that see past language and measure intelligence that in a nonverbal way. Maybe that's just because I'm a word cell, you know, that maybe there is such a thing, but that you're a human, and as a human intelligence, like, yeah, uh, language is inherent, extremely inherent to your intelligence, and you'll never transcend that enough to be able to evaluate intelligence that is nonverbal. The type of intelligence he's talking about. Okay. So in the event that you're doing sales and they ask for references, but you say to them, let's pretend for a moment that clients you talk to say good things about us. Where do you think we should go from there? So that just reframing that moves it along, moves things along instead of bringing them to a hard stop. Despite having over 900 million active users a week, OpenAI is bleeding cash in the first half of 2025. They generated 4.3 billion in revenue, but lost 7.8 billion are on the free tier. Okay. Yeah, well, I don't know if they generated 4.3. It seems like they can make a lot off ads. So that'd be ChatGPT ads combine the high intent of Google search, i.e., users looking for specific answers, with the precise targeting of Meta, knowing a user's deep history and preferences through their conversations. Yep, there's a lot of potential there. Because ads are currently on the platform, early adopters will benefit from extremely low costs and high conversion rates because users still trust the impartiality of the results. It would actually be kind of cool if, when Google first came out, it was sort of like these ads are helpful. Like they're only showing me ads that were potentially actually helpful. And ChatGPT could do that, but like on a deeper level. Like, hey, by the way, we analyzed everything you've ever said to us. So you need a therapist. Like, here's an advertisement for therapy, even if it has nothing to do with the most recent prompt or um, even if it has nothing to do with the most recent prompt, that particular conversation. But it could be it's like, hey, but of all of our paying advertisers, like honestly, we know you and we know that that you need this service. So that could be good. Also, like I wouldn't even be that opposed to also another revenue source for ChatGPT will be the purchases through ChatGPT probably. But I mean, there's something about it, like, I kind of want them to put advertising in the answers, and I know that's, like, immediately, like, destroying the core product, like, that's you're bastardizing the whole thing, and I think it would be cool if they could pull it off somehow in a way where it didn't piss users. Um, and I kinda think that it's possible for some weird reason, I don't like because especially because 'cause I've only for the first time ever, I've been using the free version of ChatGPT, and it gives me, like first of all, it switches out of the most recent model so quickly, and then it gives me, like, this big ad to, like, upgrade every 3 seconds, and it's like, if you're gonna fucking destroy and then 95% of users are getting that experience, apparently. So if you I don't know, I feel like you could create a better experience than that, if that's the baseline. You could, like, literally incorporate ads directly into the answers and to create a better experience than that. But, I don't know. Okay, anyways, here's the guy that was singing. He was singing well. Yeah, so this guy was talking about how to make a go high level chatbot work for any business. I mean, he had some good ideas and like how to save time making it and probably makes a pretty decent chatbot, but ultimately the issue is that the prompt is fixed. It is not a self updating prompt. It is not dynamic. It doesn't swap out. And therefore, it is ultimately limited. Although there is a way there, I know, I remember there was a way to make multiple chatbots and then to make it so that one chatbot within Go High Level swaps out to another chatbot, but it didn't seem to be very smooth. It didn't seem to work very well. I don't know. RLMs maintain consistent in performance up to 1 million tokens and beyond, while standardized ChatGPT 5 performance begins to drop near zero around 260 tokens for a complex task. Yes, dig.com is a new way to do parasite SEO. He is not in charge of 14K Canada. I was purely joking. Fun little arbitrage. Yeah, that night, so I was like all about the IPAs, but I don't know what that was. Heavy schema like product snippets and reviews helps with organic rankings. Use only basic schema can still rank highly in AI. However, having no at all may hurt your chances. Where are we at? We are 1 hour and Instead of sending an email and waiting, the speakers is just calling the client and saying, "I'm editing this page right now, and I need these 3 things to publish it." That's kind of the directory building thing. Inference is the biggest challenge in enterprise. What is inference? I feel like I knew yesterday. Now I don't know anymore. Schema allows Google to understand your content better as a rich result, which can lead to higher visibility. Yes, indeed. You can actually monitor your enhancements directly inside Google Search Console to see which of your pages are eligible for these special appearances. Since Google ranks individual pages rather than entire sites, each page should have schema tailored to its specific content. Interesting. Instead of just listing businesses, the directory when a visitor fills out the form rather than contacting the businesses directly, the lead is captured. Oh, this is an interesting way to utilize a directory, to be honest, considering that I just decided I was going to make of directories. So that means, yeah, but you can use a directory to capture leads and then sell the leads is the whole idea. I don't know how I'm going to utilize that when I'm making a Dan Bing directory, but hey, maybe. If the business doesn't want to pay for the lead, you give it to their competitor. Developers often struggle to find real-world problems to solve and lack distribution, i.e., the ability to sell to a large audience. Success comes from solving pain, not just having a cool idea like a to-do list app. Yep. Only Dig is providing do follow links, which pass valuable link juice to your main site, a rarity for major social platforms. Seems like that one got the least views of any tweet in the thread. I wonder if they're trying to suppress dig.com. My nose is itching. Unlike Reddit, which has sophisticated spam detection and aggressive human monitors, Dig's relaunch currently has very. You should secure single word username communities like dig.com/lose or steal what ranks. Look at high traffic subreddits on Reddit, export their top titles, and port that proven content over to Dig. Use in tools like index checks or rapid URL indexer to ensure Google crawls and lists your Dig posts immediately. Link your different Dig communities and posts to each other to compound authority before linking to your money. Use different IP addresses and incognito windows when creating multiple accounts to avoid device fingerprinting. End of thread. And I ended it with a picture of the money god. Okay, that's all. And also end of live stream. Thank you for your attention to this matter.